I missed this show. This is going to be a good one. We've got some really, really big announcements to make in this show. I mean it. Very, very big announcements. If you are a regular watcher, tune in for this one. We're going to be live in 60 seconds. Hey everyone, we have quite a different show for you today. We're going to be talking about some really big things. We're actually moving this live show to our UMS Movement Mastermind private Facebook group, which is actually for anyone to join. It used to be only for people that have bought our programs, but it's for anybody that's serious about learning from us. We believe that we can help you, our regular viewers, on a much better level, on a higher level by posting these live shows to that Facebook group. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're also going to answer the first couple of really good questions that have come through from our UMS online coaching tribe. And also we're going to talk about Phil's new channel. Phil is starting his own channel for physiotherapy. So make sure you hang around. There's a lot of big stuff to talk about. And you don't want to miss this, because if you tune in here next week on YouTube, you're going to see a whole lot of crickets. So stay tuned.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.
Hey everyone, in case we haven't met, my name's Rad Burmeister. I'm one of the co-founders of Unity Gym and the co-creators of the UMS, the Unified Movement System, where we turn driven people into superhumans. And the way we get such amazing results with our members is that we've created a program that has a balance between strength and flexibility. Now, if you want to know how we do that, you can download one of the 3 free blueprints. There's a link in the description for the strength blueprint, flexibility blueprint, and the nutrition blueprint. As always, I'm joined by Phil. How are you today, Phil?
Yeah, I'm very well. I think we've been a bit absent for the last couple of days, some technical difficulties and some big changes in the gym. So I'm glad that we're back behind the camera and ready to go.
Yeah. Sorry, there's someone that's walked into the gym here. You guys can't see this, but we actually have a whole gym just operating out there. So morning Quack, morning Rito. Listen, I should say, I've got to clarify this. You're not going to see crickets on this YouTube channel where this whole move, we are constantly trying to figure out better ways that we can spend our time to serve you better. And what we're going to be doing is, we've been talking about this for a while, but we are restarting our weekly workout videos, meaning they're going to be properly produced, edited videos filmed on our digital SLR camera. Infinitely times better quality than what you're watching now. You know, if you look at any of our top videos, they're all made that way and professionally edited. We're also going to be uploading these live streams that we do to the YouTube channel. It's just they won't be getting recorded live. And we're going to play around with filming those with the DSLR camera. So you'll see this same show, but it'll be filmed in high res. I think it might even be in 4K. And you'll have a much better quality show to watch. So
you can zoom right into Rad's shiny hair and really get all the grainy details and all the clear details instead of the grainy shot we got now.
Yeah,
So
that's it. And also, there's another couple of big things that we're going to be changing. Number one is that when Phil came and joined the team, we wanted to get you guys acquainted with him, get him acquainted with you, and we went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, introducing everybody to Phil's expertise, which is definitely not our expertise in physiotherapy, sports injuries, all the great stuff that you hear Phil talk about. But what we're going to do is we are going to bring our channel back to being about strength and flexibility training, calisthenics, weightlifting, all things UMS. And Phil is actually starting his own channel where he's going to be talking about all of the stuff that you've gotten used to him talking about. So who knows, I might make some guest appearances and Phil might make some guest appearances on our show. I'm sure we will be because we're all under the same roof. But that's really exciting stuff for you guys because...
I do have an exercise and sports science degree, so I can talk strength and flexibility till the cows come home as well. But yeah, it seems like there's been a bit of interest towards the physio sort of stuff, so I'm happy to have given that away. But now I'm really keen to kind of get a bit more focused on that. It might be a few less episodes a week, but really kind of getting... we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
lots of big things happening.
Yeah, because we want to make sure that we're serving our audience for what you guys want to see, So we've got a large audience in the Unity Gym channel that are really keen to learn more about strength and flexibility, and we've also got a bunch of you guys that really want to learn about everything that Phil just spoke about.
I'm sure a lot of that could be, the same people. So
exactly.
If you want to get your sort of strength and conditioning,
your dose here and then your dose there, it'll be available to you.
So if you go into the link in the description of the in the show you're watching right now, I've put up a link to my current YouTube channel, which has a 1 subscriber, so race to get in there.
Race to get in there and be in the first 10 subscribers. No, do that, guys. Go and subscribe to Phil's channel because for those of you that are regular viewers, you know that the stuff that he puts up is highly valuable, so you really want to look out for that. So Steve Kavanagh is saying hi, and we've got Kumaran saying, morning, guys. I avoid Facebook on my phone, so we'll miss some live streams that I normally catch. That's okay, man. It'll be there for you to watch, and it'll still get uploaded to YouTube in better quality.
For some of the Facebook dislikers out there, which I can totally relate to, you could always just download it, turn off all notifications from it, so you don't get Facebook telling you anything, and then just check in with the stream.
That's right.
Knowing that it's going to come up, and that's just a way of not letting it intrude in your life, which I totally appreciate.
Yeah, that's right. It also just. You can just watch it on the YouTube show when we upload it shortly afterwards. That's another way to do it.
The benefits being on the Facebook live stream is you're going to get your questions answered first.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's not just that. It's what we're doing is we have an inner circle. We have our inner tribe of people who are part of our UMS online coaching program, and we want to serve them better. The people that are subscribed to our program that are getting the highest level of coaching from us, and this is a really good way that we believe that we can do this because they can ask questions straight to the Facebook page, and we're going to be answering those questions first. And we've got a couple.
Their questions will be very informative and useful for the.
And Yanni wants me to say their questions are going to be very, very informative and useful for all of you that aren't subscribed to our program yet because they know our program, so they're asking higher level questions. They're asking questions that are more related to what we're doing. So.
And you could be in that channel too.
You could. So, anyone can do it, and it's only $49 a month. So shameless plug. So we've got our first couple of questions here that I'm going to answer.
Just to be, just for someone who's kind of not aware of what you've got going on Facebook, can you run through the different groups and maybe the different
absolutely,
and how you are in each of those groups?
Good call, Phil. I didn't think about that. So we've got our Unity Gym page, which is a public page, just like any business that you go and like. You just like the page if you want to follow Unity Gym, and we do regular updates on there. We share the stuff that we put on Instagram. We interact with our audience there. But we've got 3 private Facebook groups that are basically depending on what type of training you're doing with us. We've got our Unity Gym Tribe page, which is strictly for Unity Gym members only. The only way you can become a member of that page is if you're a member of Unity Gym, the physical location. Then we have our UMS online coaching group, which is strictly for people in our UMS online coaching program. So anywhere in the world, if you're subscribed to our UMS online coaching program, you get access to that group. And then we have our UMS Movement Mastermind, which is a mastermind group of anybody that is interested in what what it is that we do. So the majority of people in that group are people that have purchased our standalone programs, but there's also a bunch of people in there who are just really interested in what it is that we do. So these shows are now going to get broadcast live to that UMS Movement Mastermind group. So any of you can join the group. There's if there's not a link for it in this description, there will be by the time we finish doing this live show. But you can search for it. If you just go to Facebook and search for UMS Movement Mastermind with spaces between the words.
I'll put that in right now.
There you go. Phil's doing it right
and
now.
Big shout out to Holy Cane Knight. Tommy is my first subscriber.
Oh, Tommy, yes.
Appreciate
Tommy,
it. So jump
thanks
on
for
that link in the
subscribing.
description and
Yep.
go from there.
Yep, that's it. So we're going to answer 3 questions now that we've got from our UMS online coaching group. So the first one is from Blakely Harnage. And I love Blakely's one of our moderators and one of our senior students. And he has said, I read that heavy weightlifting can actually weaken the pelvic floor. That's some unfair bullshit. What's that about? I have no idea about that, and I'm really keen to hear what Phil says, but that sounds like absolute baloney to me. Phil?
Yeah, let me just get that. Oh, there it is. I've got a.
There we go.
link there that
Okay,
people
so
can
Phil's
follow.
put the link in there as a comment in this video. So click on that
It's in
and
the
join
chat.
that group for those of you that are watching. And also, smash that like button, smash it up, and leave a comment with your name and where you're watching from so we can give you a shout out. So Phil, what do you reckon? Heavy weightlifting weakening the pelvic floor?
Well, so to get a bit of understanding of what the pelvic floor is, it seems to be one of those terms that can be a bit lost in the ephemeral sort of the core, what is that? So just to be clear about what the pelvic floor is a series of muscles that are, I guess, deep inside your pelvis that make up the bottom. If you think about the pelvis being a bit of a bowl, it's the muscles along there, and so they're related to, I guess, intra-abdominal pressure, but also control of the sphincters in, So you have these muscles that if things go wrong, then you can have some issues around incontinence, like bladder and bowel control, and also just a fairly an inability to produce force because you need to have this strong intra-abdominal pressure to be able to brace your whole body and produce force. So things that can happen when you have a weak pelvic floor are things like hernias, where you get part of the abdominal contents coming through the muscular wall, which is very unpleasant, and also prolapses, which are probably even more unpleasant. So just to be clear, I'm not a pelvic floor expert. There are physios who actually specialize exclusively in sort of pelvic floor physio, and so yeah, if you want to know more about exactly what the pelvic floor is, I definitely recommend, or you've had any issues with that, probably don't see me, maybe go and see a pelvic floor specialist. But yeah, certainly one of the things that can happen when you're lifting really heavy weight, especially in sort of powerlifting or also calisthenic stuff, where you're really bracing strongly against these massive forces. If you have a muscular weakness, then that's when these things can happen. So with all stuff that we've talked about, basically, if you gradually build things up, those muscles will be gradually stressed, and therefore respond to stress with getting stronger. And there's no reason why you should have issues. It's when people do. It's you kind of hear about your old uncle who tried to lift up a heavy lawnmower or something, and suddenly just
blew out
had
his
a blowout.
pelvic
So
floor.
it's if you're
And it's all just about that load management.
yeah,
isn't
exactly.
It?
It's that load management you keep talking about. If you gradually build it up, then that will I
Mitigate-
can't see why
mitigate
it'd be
the
an issue. But I'd be
risks.
interested to have a look at the article about that, because this is just me off the cuff about what I know about pelvic floor. But there's no
Yeah, so
you're
Blakely,
getting-
if you want to share that, maybe we can have Phil give you
but-
a analysis.
Totally. It just doesn't make sense to me that when you stress that muscle, they will get stronger. And a lot of sort of old school physio land is dude, these really hard to understand tiny contractions that you're and that the amount of load you're putting through there don't really understand.
Yanni says he reckons it sounds like a load of shit. I reckon
Yeah.
it sounds like a load of shit as well. I'm calling bullshit on it.
Phil's going to be a lot more diplomatic about his answer.
Yeah, Phil's going to be a lot more diplomatic around it. He always is. Yanni and me are a little bit more direct, and Yanni and I are both in agreement on this. We're calling bullshit.
On another note,
We need a little bullshit flag so we can flick it up and go.
On another note, which you guys should share, related to heavy lifting, Matthew Hollings' PhD study has been published now, proving that weightlifting is the most superior method to maintain brain cognitive function.
So Yanni's saying one of our first team members when we first opened Unity Gym 7 years ago, he'd just finished his exercise sports science degree, and he was starting a PhD, and he just finished his PhD where he proved he finished it a few years ago. It's been published now and cited, proving that weightlifting is the most effective way to prevent degenerative brain disease. So take that one. PhD has been proven it.
And it's cool because he was a team member here.
Yeah. Matt is a legend. Google Matt Hollings or Matthew Hollings. He's a great guy.
Just to be the overly diplomatic one, there's so many, it's such exciting, and I'm so stoked for Matt. He's the smartest dude.
He is
and I think,
a weapon, isn't he?
he's really unreal. I guess I've just been doing lots of meta science study, which is about the science of science and how one study doesn't necessarily prove things, but it's definitely a great, it's such an exciting move in the right direction.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Alex Seabrook is saying, do you still seek improvements in weightlifting space, or does the focus fall towards more complex movements, calisthenics movements after a certain period? And for Yanni, okay, so I will answer that question first. So he's talking about the UMS specifically, Alex is talking about. So do we still seek improvements in the weightlifting space or as we progress, or does the focus fall towards more complex movements and calisthenics movements after a certain period? Yes and no. We constantly seek improvement in squat and deadlift and bench as well, and that does fall onto the individual a little bit depending on your goals are. But the squat and deadlift are the be-all and end-all for the lower body, short of periodization and subbing in unilateral movements and what the individual has. And we have a massive focus on that, which will never change, Alex. There's very little that trains the lower body better than just a good barbell. As far as upper body goes, it's a personal thing for me and the way that I view training, that when you achieve a certain level of strength, that you start to transition into pursuing calisthenics movements. And the reason why I believe that is because there will come a point where you get to diminishing returns in weightlifting. There will come a point where you just hit a level where it's very, very hard to get past it, on a massive amount. Like, let's say you start weightlifting and you can barely squat 40 or 50 kilos and you're an 85 kilogram man and you're in a healthy age with no major injuries. You can expect over the first couple of years to, triple, even quadruple that amount of weight that you can lift. You'll get to a point where even if you train for that same amount of time harder than you did, you'll barely put 5% or 10% of the amount on. Now, for me, when I get to that point with my upper body, it makes more sense to me that I use the same amount of time training pursuing something that I can't do, which is calisthenics. The other thing is that calisthenics is a little bit dangerous when you're not strong enough to do it. And it's also very hard to progress from progression to progression. Sometimes you'll hit this glass ceiling. So weightlifting can be used to break through those plateaus. So I hope that makes sense. Phil, I kind of feel like you're waiting to chime in here.
I just said one thing with the UMS, which I love so much, is it's got the potential for you to kind of direct your own training towards your own goals. So,
exactly.
If you're all about calisthenics and you appreciate that you need to get that base level of strength with the weightlifting, then certainly you can kind of, be gradually building up your weightlifting, get to a certain strength, and then fall towards more of that complex stuff with the calisthenics. But for those out there who, your goals are to be really strong and flexible, and then you enjoy doing a bit of calisthenics on the side, then you don't necessarily need to go and put all your time into being a complex sort of amazing calisthenics athlete when you're more focused on the strength maybe it's the cardio fitness at the end that you really like, or maybe it's just you like being a generalist and you enjoy just getting into a bit into each. So I think it's just really key, Alex, to just think about what your goals are, as I've talked about so much, and then direct your training accordingly within the UMS program. It really works for
Yeah,
things.
absolutely. So for me, Alex, my goal is definitely what you said. When I get to a certain level, I will shift my focus to doing much more calisthenics. But the more and more I train, the more and more I realize that weightlifting is just a huge part of general strength. That is something that I will never neglect again. I have neglected it in the past in favor of calisthenics, and I injured myself. I hit plateaus, and yeah, I really think that periodization is key, where you're periodizing by using, because upper body weightlifting is generally open kinetic chain movements, whereas upper body calisthenics is generally closed kinetic chain movements. So they affect the nervous system and strength development differently, and it's good to use both of them. It's not good to just do one or the other. Okay, so the second part of your question, Alex, is, and for Yanni in particular, Yanni, this one's for you. Actually, this is also for Richard, I wanted to say. As in Yanni and Richard being particularly quite tall. Do you have any tips or tricks for taller people to avoid lower back injuries and hip tightness? I have certainly seen improvements using the program and working on structural balance, but still get a little nervous about squatting, especially with heavier weights.
I think this is
Yanni's going to come in.
I was particularly interested in this question because, to my knowledge, and Phil might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, there is no correlation between height and back problems. I've never come across that. So I found it interesting that you asked, being older, is it, referring to that it's common to have back problems? It's being taller, sorry. I don't know where you've gathered that information from, or that correlation. To my knowledge, having a back issue is usually directly related to either shitty posture or a weakness and instability, or a pre-existing, if you've had an issue in the past,
or
like
load
myself,
management.
or load management. That's exactly right. Now, I've had a look at some of your videos since seeing this comment, Alex, and I do sort of see there that you have there's room for muscular development in your lower back and your glutes, and that area around your pelvis where you can stabilize it, and that's what I'd be really focusing on. And what Phil said there, load management is super important. I don't personally believe there's any correlation between between height and back pain, or at least I haven't come across it.
Yep.
Yeah,
You heard it here first.
I'd have a few comments on it, where certainly when you think about longer, body parts, like the body is all levers. So you have areas, when you're going into a hinging motion, if you have the weight out in front of you and you're longer, then it's going to be more total force going through, the area where the force is hinging. So in a deadlift, for example, if you are doing a deadlift and your form is such that you end up taking the bar away from your midline, then suddenly you've got these larger forces that can be, increasingly, like with how far out it is, depending on how tall you are, can be a bit of an issue. So I think maybe have a look at post up some of your, if it's deadlift, or you said maybe squat here as well. It's all, try and get some of those side-on shots where we can really see that midline, because with those movements, if you can keep the bar in the midline, it doesn't matter how tall you are, but certainly technique issues can then exacerbate things if you are a bit taller. But
yeah, and in all honesty, Alex, like the squat and the deadlift is such a simple movement, and so many people have done so much of it before that, you watch a tutorial like in the UMS and you leave it at that. But I'm telling you now, after squatting for decades, I still watch videos of people that know more of me saying the same thing over and over again, because sometimes you watch something enough and something that you just didn't notice just stands out to you, and you're like, oh my God, if I put my bum here, which has been in the explanation the whole time, I just didn't pick up on it. It completely changes the way you do it. So I would re-watch the tutorials in the UMS for the deadlift and the squat, and just really make sure that you're,
particularly keeping the shins vertical, I find is something that people really struggle with, sitting back, keeping the shins vertical, which then
for the
enables
deadlift,
which enables the bar path to be directly in line with your body. So bar path being the line that just goes straight up and down. If you're going from the top and you're lowering the weight, and it has to go over your knees, and the bar path is going to go off your body, which is called a little ski jump. So make sure you're initiating the movement back with your hips from the top,
Yep.
and then keeping your shins vertical, and that's probably a good place to start. But we'll have a look. If you posted some videos on there before of your deadlift from side on and your squat from side on, then we can have a look. And that's one of the great things about the UMS Mastermind group is that you can put up these videos for form checks and get the community involved in helping you and us being able to see what you're doing, so we can give you more in-depth answers.
Yep. So just a quick couple of shout outs. Benji from level 6 above us, who's a member of the gym, is saying, Benji, level 6, how are you, brother? We'll answer your question about your specific question in just a sec. Tommy's saying, good morning, guys. Catching your stream while I'm driving this morning. Ben Arola is saying, hello, guys. Do you recommend to rest a day or two after a flexibility session? I absolutely do, but you need to understand what the difference between flexibility and mobility is. And in a very short answer, a flexibility session is where you do multiple sets, multiple reps, multiple different exercises with the goal to increase the flexibility of your muscles and of your ability to get into a position, and that requires recovery. Mobility is just taking your joints through their full range of motion in a variety of different ways, done at a much lower level, and I recommend doing that on rest days. And an example would be, I don't do the same flexibility training with less than 48 hours absolute minimum, and I usually go for 72 hours for me. Steve, and I get great results with that, better results than if I'm doing the same stretching daily. Steve Kavanagh is saying, please note the name of the PhD study and author, as my wife is studying aging and dementia. So the name of the author is Matthew Hollings. Yanni, do you know what the name of the PhD study was?
One of the authors.
Matthew Hollings is one of the authors.
Yeah, I just put his name up there for...
His supervisor was on telly last night explaining it.
We're not sure, man, but if you Google Matthew Hollings PhD, it'd have to come up. You'd have to find something.
Yeah, they have
or on PubMed.
There's a thing it's called ResearchGate, which basically tells you like that person and all their publications. So I'll jump on there and
yeah, you should be able to. If you spend 5 minutes Googling Matthew Hollings, you'll be able to find it. Benji Williams is saying, what about ratio of legs to back length? I'm 6'3", but sitting down, I'm taller than my 6'5" mate. He has long legs. Listen, I've got a long spine. Yanni's got a short spine. Yanni's got long legs. I've got short legs. It doesn't mean anything. None of us suffer from any conditions.
All that happens is, and Phil sort of pointed this out, you have to adjust your body positioning.
Yeah, your body position, your body...
This goes for Alex as well. You know, he has to discover the right body position.
Yeah, the right body position is different for everyone.
Person.
Basically, a barbell can only do one thing. It can fight gravity, which means the only thing a barbell can do is try to drop straight down. As soon as you manipulate a barbell in a way where it deviates, and every single weightlifting movement, if you think about it, is just a creative way to move a barbell up and down. So you're positioning your body in different ways that you can move the barbell up and down to hit different muscles. When you deviate off that vertical path, you put strain on the body in a suboptimal way the majority of the time, especially if you're doing the typical barbell lifts like a squat, deadlift, bent over row, bench press, shoulder press. When you deviate from that vertical movement of up and down, that's when you run into problems. So you're going to, Benji, if you've got a longer spine and a shorter legs, then the way that you deadlift is going to look different than your mate who is the same height of you with a shorter spine and longer legs. But if you look at the barbell and nothing else, it should look exactly the same. The barbell should go up and down.
Yeah, I'd really encourage people to look at there's this great Instagram channel where it's like top level Olympic weightlifters, so clean and jerk and snatch, and it's in like super slow motion, high definition, and it's just amazing to watch how they can get the bar from on the ground over their head and it's in a perfectly straight line. And they just like maneuver their body around to like get under there, and so it's a really good example of like people can do it at that great speed and that great weight to like enable that straight bar path. That's exactly what you're aiming for in these simpler movements of the squat, bench, and deadlift. Just try and and
it takes so much more practice than what the average person understands.
When I trained for a year and a half in powerlifting, like it just blew my mind how many like different ways you could tweak things and make things different, so foot positioning and all sorts of stuff.
And when you watch Bass warm up, so Bass is a good friend of ours on Instagram, Australian strength coach, one of the strongest people in the country, even in the world. And when I remember, because he used to train at our gym, and Phil trained with him for ages at his gym, when you watch him warm up, the guy squats 300 kilos plus for reps. I was saying for reps. So 360 is his max 1 RM.
370.
370 now.
370 for 5.
360 for 4 reps, Yanni's saying. I mean, it's insane. But if you watch him warm up, he starts his warm up at 20 kilos and he incrementally goes up in 20 kilo increments or 20 kilos on each side. And he does every single rep on his warm up as though he was lifting his maximum weight. And he'll proclaim that to you. So you'll see him with a 20 kilo bar and he goes, and he does it exactly like he was going to do 300 kilos because he's trying to train his
arms are nowhere near here.
Yeah, his arms are out there. He doesn't have the same shoulder flexibility as I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing. You know, it's amazing when you see somebody at that level, the amount of focus that goes into something that a lot of people call a basic lift, you know. And we try to get people to understand that. It's all about greasing the groove. It's all about load management. It's all about understanding that you don't just lift as much as you can lift with shit technique. It's about really greasing the groove and nailing
that's why I'm
that
so excited
technique.
about this move of the live show onto the Facebook group, just because you can have that like extra level of interaction where you guys can post up videos that are directly related to what we're talking about. We can really have that two-way interaction at a higher level than we can through YouTube, where we don't quite have that same thing. So definitely click the link or search for
UMS Movement Mastermind.
Movement Mastermind on Facebook. Join up there and we can keep that discussion going. And you can get the form checks from all sorts of people. You can get questions or anything after.
Yep. So Christian Unger is our last UMS online coaching member who's posted a question. Christian is saying, do you guys do any work around walking technique, correct gait? Any exercises that could be incorporated to screen for and correct weaknesses, poor technique? And further, when hiking with, let's say, 25 kilograms hiking backpack on, how might one be affected by the weight and adjust gait to the weight demands? So the first thing I'll say is that at UMS, no, we don't. We don't do any specific stuff around walking except for training bare feet, and we do a lot of exercises that are designed to strengthen the ankles, knees, hips and core to be able to make sure that your knee is tracking in the right direction and all of that good stuff. But as opposed to like what a podiatrist would do or a certain physiotherapist, we don't do much around that space.
You and Richie would have some experience of carrying around heavy packs.
I'll tell you about that. Okay, so 25 kilograms is nothing compared to what I used to carry. An average pack march in the army was about 50 kilograms on your back plus another 8 kilograms in your webbing and between 5 and 15 kilograms in your weapon system. And a heavy pack march, some of the heaviest ones we did, some of the guys had 70 kilograms on their back. So how are you affected by the weight? Horrendously. It fucks you up. What I noticed is, and I was really aware of it because I was a personal trainer for years before I joined the army, so I was aware of trying to activate my core and trying to use my glutes, but no matter how much I did, what happens is it pulls you into an excessive extension position, because basically your body it shifts your center of gravity, and your body tries to bring that center of gravity over the feet, and the way that it does that is by pushing you into extension, and that has horrendous effect on your hip flexors, your core muscles, and your extensors.
So certainly in the UMS with all the the shallow body hold and all that core activation stuff will be really useful for that, and certainly the single leg components to the strength training will head everything in the right sort of direction.
Absolutely, which is really what the UMS is all about. You know, people often say to us, "Oh, I need a customized program, for this, and this need." And the truth is, the UMS has been very, very carefully created over decades now, and refined. Had Phil look over it with a fine-tooth comb, someone of his expertise, someone with a degree in exercise, sports science and physiotherapy, and then he's gone, I would probably do it this way, and then we've changed it. And that process has gone on for a long, long time now to get it to a point where it prepares the body for almost anything as good as you can. And when I say almost anything, what I mean is like for every basic sporting activity and movement, it gives you a really good base of strength and flexibility.
Yeah, so just to be really clear, it gives you that great foundation, but then when you are really specializing into one particular thing, you've just got to that load management piece, gradually increasing your exposure to that is going to be what keeps you strong and healthy. Yep. So basically if you've been doing the UMS but going to work every day, like not ever spending any time with the backpack on, then that change of 0 kilos on your back to 25 kilos on your back and long periods of time walking instead of long periods of time sitting at a desk, that's where you run into trouble. So what I'd recommend is if you have a big like walk coming up, then you do a series of shorter, less intense walks with a lighter pack, which you gradually increase. Like you use those strength training principles that you're learning so well in the UMS and apply it to those other parts of your life where, you know, you may not think about it because like, oh, it's just a holiday, it's just a hiking day.
My advice, if reflecting back on my time in the army now, the way that they progressively overloaded us for pack marching, I thought was really good. 25 kilos is not a ridiculously heavy weight, but your exposure to how long
Depends
you
on
do
the
it
person,
for.
you know?
Yeah,
If
that's
she's
right. It depends on the
She's
person.
a 40 kilo lady, then that's like more than half her weight. So
Sadly for the 40 kilo ladies in the army, they didn't modify the weight for them. Everybody started with 25 kilograms, and it was quite funny watching these little 4.5 foot girls with the same amount of weight as you on it, just hating life. But what we did was we started with 2 kilometers, then we went to 4 kilometers, then 6 kilometers, then 8 kilometers, and it went like that in a weekly. So we only did it once a week, and you progressively expose yourself to longer distances, and I think that was a good way to do it. The other thing is that when you do if you go for hiking like that, whenever I would periodically take your pack off, like probably at least once every hour for 5 minutes, and when you do that, I would do some forward flexion stretches. I would open up the chest stretches, like some stuff that you can do for that you know from the UMS coaching, and also for the hip flexors, hamstrings, and calves. When I say stretches, though, I'm not talking about static stretches. At the very end of the hike, you can do some static stretches, but just do some loaded stretching and just some mobility, some mobilization in those joints. What do you reckon, Phil?
Great. So just for people who do it, like when they jump on the Facebook group, is there the one thread that you want all the questions to go towards? At the moment, you've got that comment section there where we're drawing the comments that we're answering.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, the way it's going to work is I'm going to, so I've pinned a post as an announcement to the UMS online coaching group, and we will always be answering our online coaching members first. And then what I'll do is I'm going to pin a post in the UMS Movement Mastermind group where people can do the same thing. And basically, the post will be pinned, but I will, when we answer the questions, I'll delete that comment so that we know, because otherwise eventually we're going to have 1,000 comments there.
Yeah, we could even reply and say answered in that episode so people can get that.
Yeah, we could do that. The problem is that as people comment on a comment, it bumps it to the top.
Sure.
So people could be commenting and somebody
we'll
that's
figure out the details to make it.
But that's basically the way it's going to happen. So you'll put a comment in this pinned post, and then we will answer that comment in the shows.
Yeah. And so then after that's sort of done, we'll also then answer, if we've got through everyone, we'll answer the questions on YouTube, but we really do encourage you to get on the Facebook group. There's no reason why you can't get on it. It's free and
absolutely.
for you to join.
Yep.
And I'm also really, I would answer, the first question I'd answer is someone who puts a voice message on the podcast. I haven't gotten it yet. I mean, been waiting for one. We've got nearly over 500 listens now. I'm so stoked that people have been listening to it. So again, if you don't know we have a podcast, I turn these shows into a podcast every day. I put a lot of my love into doing that. So please subscribe and rate us on Apple Podcasts. But you can also put voice questions through there if you're a podcast listener. So.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So we've got one more shout out. Cohen Parker has just joined the stream. Thanks for joining, brother. Make sure that you join the Facebook group called UMS Movement Mastermind. We will do 2 more shows, a show tomorrow and Friday will be done on this YouTube channel, but as of Monday next week, they're going to be going to that Facebook page.
And just a friendly reminder that I'm going to be setting up my channel as well. I put a link in the description, so if you could subscribe to that for all your sort of physio content and more of what I do.
Guys, that is going to be an invaluable resource, because the same way that we give away all this free content for you guys and answer your questions, Phil's going to be doing that with his expertise around physiotherapy and sports science.
Yeah. And I'm just about set up with my online consultations. I know I've said that for a little while, but I really am. So that will be coming soon as well. So stay tuned.
Yeah. I know that sometimes we all say that, this is happening. it just takes time. It takes time to set all this
Turns
stuff
out
up,
running your own
all this
business,
online
man.
stuff.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
it's brutal.
And there's
It's
so
brutal.
many things happening at once.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah.
But
That's
we
right.
make time for this every day except for the last 2 days.
Yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Please smash that like button. Leave a comment with your name and where you're watching from if we didn't give you a shout out. And we will see you tomorrow for our second last show on the YouTube channel. Well, not really. The second last time it's going to be streamed live to YouTube. It'll still get uploaded to YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great day.
Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, it's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that
It's the
far.
consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.